and Bonsai back in the house, not out on the water. It's a rainy, cold weekend, so me and Charles didn't get out. So yeah, you're seeing now some soft baits. So I'm gonna get through my soft baits first, but I was getting ready to put out a video on kind of baits that you're willing to sacrifice, you know, like your cheaper baits. Should you have some of those in your box, you throw them up there where they may not make it back, or down in deep water where there could be hang-ups and stuff, kind of baits like that. But be looking forward to that video. I'm going to put that together. But I wanted to right now, and honestly, some of these baits, I don't even know for sure what the answer is until I pull these boxes out and go through them. But like, if I could only have one, you guys, we've talked about this over and over, just not here, but, you know, fishermen and, you know, everywhere talks about, like, if you could only take one rod, one reel, one bait, you know, one type of thing, you know, people ask you that question to get your idea of, you know, what's your favorite thing to use, to throw, you know, if you've got to get a bite, that kind of thing. So instead of breaking it down to one bait, which I may do at the end of this, I'm basically going to take from each class of my soft plastics to my hard baits, to chatter baits, spinner baits, that kind of thing. And we're going to look at my box of them, and I'm just going to pick one out. Now, you guys all know, if you follow the channel, you're probably already got an idea of when I get to a box what I'm going to pull out, but I may surprise you or myself on a few of these. Because it's like, and I may have a couple choices, but I'll pick one that I would take, but there may be options. You guys know the deal. Bigger fish, smaller, maybe more bites, that kind of thing. You know, what are you setting out to do that day, where you're at? Are you looking like you're going to catch a lot more little dinks, so you're just going to throw something smaller, make it easier on you and them, you know, smaller hooks, or something bigger? But we're going to jump in here, and I wanted to get soft plastics out of the way so I wouldn't have to dig through a bunch of them. So I've already kind of went through that in my head, but not these boxes. The boxes are getting overstuffed. I really need to, if I tried to go out in anything, like, I could not go kayak fishing right now. I have way too many baits to even fit in a kayak. There's no way that I would want to take with me. It'd be hard to pick. So that's kind of what brought this video on, in case some of you are wondering. So I'm just going to start with the bait because it is, to date, has my personal best bass. So if I had to pick one worm, right, the simplest bait to fish for bass is, honestly, in my opinion, a worm. You can rig it up on several different things. You can just actually just pull a hook out in these zinkers, or like a Cinco style type bait, ones that have salt. They're going to sink. You could actually just stick a hook in there, throw it out, let it slowly sink. You can catch fish. Probably the simplest way to bass fish, but to date, this Zinkers and sprayed grass has caught my personal best bass. I'm not even going to mention it here. Watch the videos. All you got to do is put type bass bonsai personal best, and you'll find that video of how big that bass was. It was on this bait with a VMC finesse rugby jig, 16th ounce. But if I had to go and I could only pick one worm, whether it be a finesse worm, a curl tail worm, or just worms in general, that's got to be the guy. And I'm even going to throw a TRD in there. I feel, because actually I could take this and I can cut it in half, and I similarly have a TRD. If you stretch these enough, get the salt out of them, they do float. They don't come floating, but in a sense, you've got a bunch of TRDs right there. You could actually cut them straight down the middle and use the other side if you needed to, kind of deal. So this probably also wins the overall just best anything. You go out with a worm, and it doesn't have to be a Zinkers if you guys just do not like Elastec, right? They melt, they do this, they do that, but you keep them. I have like a cooler type deal, an Igloo soft cooler thing. I just keep all my Z-Man stuff in, if you're worried about it. But a regular Cinco, any of the other companies, they all have these. The General, I think, is one that comes to mind. Is that Berkeley, I think, the General, and there's several other brands. But probably first, top off the bat, right off the bat. Okay, now let's say though you're let's just jump to the swim baits. Now it is not this brand, the Guggen ones, but this is a good bait. But in all honesty, I don't even have any right now because they fall off the hook so fast, as fast as you put them on it, is a Key-Tech. But if I had to pick a color, and I want to say that's electric shad. That is my favorite probably color of swim bait. And if I had to pick a swim bait, it would probably be in a 3 to 3.5 inch size. Something like this. You can swim it by itself, put it on the underspin, put it on the back of a chatterbait. Trick to a chatterbait is back of a spinnerbait for that matter. Back on anything really. But is on a chatterbait, don't rig it up straight on the hook. Rig it, and you can rig it upside down straight on the hook if you choose, but then your color is all off unless you got a solid color. But what I started doing my chatterbaits is I rig it, kind of imagine the hook going straight at with this thing propped down. So what that does, the blade's up here spinning, it lets the tail, it lets this bait work like it normally would if it was rigged up without that blade up on the chatterbait spinning, right? Spinnerbait you don't have to worry because the blades are up higher. You can rig it up straight on the spinnerbait. You can leave the skirts on. You can actually pull the skirts off. You can go as big or as small as you want to do, but that, in roughly that color, would be my favorite swim bait, even over a big one. I'm not, the waters around here, there's not a bunch of big bass, so that would be my pick on a soft plastic as far as like a swim bait type deal goes. Alright, let me get that out of the way. Now, at one time, my favorite thing to throw in the world, until I decided I got tired of throwing away money on soft plastics, were those guys, right there. Reaction Innovation Sweet Beaver. Not this color, but I go through the colors. This time of day, and colors, if you guys know the deal, if you're new to fishing, your colors will probably change from year to year, from every couple years, kind of thing. And if you fish a lot of the same types of water, or the same bodies of water, you repeatedly go back there, you fish a lot, you fish all the time, you in a sense will run yourself out of being able to use the same baits or colors. You may have to change it up yourself because you're pressuring the fish you're fishing. For example, I've got, our family has our own pond, right? And we'll go down and hit it. And I may go down there for a whole year, and this color, because I did it with June bug, and like in a year's time, the next year, I had to switch colors. But anyway, the time of day right now, and if you ask Matt, the Sweet Beaver is my favorite creature style bait. I know for punching, but just in general, to rig it up by itself. Now if I go on the back of, say, a chatterbait, and these can actually be rigged up on some smaller hooks also by themselves and work good, finessey. But you're probably seeing here that my favorite color at the moment would be sprayed grass because it's on the Zinkers. That's what I caught it on. But there's kind of a little bit of every kind of color in there. There's some purple, there's some green, almost a pumpkin and a watermelon colors. Like, sprayed grass is a very good color. So if I had to pick one bait to go out on a creature bait, it would probably still be this, because you can run that, the big one, on a chatterbait. You might limit yourself though, or you can run on the back of a jig or on the back just by itself on a broken neck, jig head, or Texas rigged, or however you want to rig it. But it would probably be in a sprayed grass color, a regular Sweet Beaver. Now I probably could ask Matt after watching him when we fished last season. It would be between this or, oh shoot, I can't think of the name of it now, but probably this for Matt, the Spicy Beaver. So anyway, if you guys have never tried the Reaction Innovations, now Bass Pro, several other companies kind of have what you would, just like the Key-Tech or Swing Impact Fat, everybody and their brother makes one now, like I just showed you, the Guggen, Strike King makes them. Same thing with Reaction Innovations, but they are the first ones, as far as I know, to come out with this creature style, what we call beaver style baits. So if you've not tried, they come in a bunch of different colors. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be sprayed grass. Now if I had to pick two, you guys know the deal. Black and blue would probably be the color to any of these you're going to hear me talking about of the next one. So I'm going to consider that done with soft plastics because I got a bunch of regular baits to go through. But I'm also trying these guys out, and I've yet to try a bait like this. So if you guys haven't seen these, they're supposed to kind of articulate in the center as you're fishing them, whether they're on the fall or, you know, if that's how you're fishing them, or you pull them up off the bottom as they fall back down, they don't just go straight back down. So stay tuned, see if these can knock any of these other soft plastics off my list. But right now, the Cinco style worm, which I like the Zinkers, and then the Reaction Innovation Sweet Beaver. You got you covered, right? Covers all your soft plastics, your worms and your creature or crawl baits. But I'm going to throw one more in. I have not fished a ton of the Strike King rage baits, right? The rage tails. They got all these different ones, but I have fished this one long enough. Not necessarily by itself, but on the back of a bait, I have to put a lot of these rage tails, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have fished some of the Strike King rage things. You probably have your favorites, but the Baby Rage Menace I love on the back of chatterbaits. I just thought I'd throw that in there. So if I had to pick one chatterbait trailer only, and I had to go with it, it would be the Baby Rage Menace. Not the full-size one, just because this bait still lets that chatterbait work around better. So anyway, I thought I'd throw that in there. No more soft plastics. Let's go hard, right? Let's start with hard baits. Technically not 100%. Now if I had to pick one, let's start from the top and work our way down. That's kind of how I got them set up here. So let's start with hard baits. If I had to pick one hard bait top water, what would it be? Now, not frog. Now what you're gonna see here is it's kind of my main top water box, but it's just one of them. I kind of have two nowadays. This is honestly a very hard toss-up. Now, I'm not going to count the frog. If I only had to pick one frog, it's probably going to be this new guy, new to me, the new Z-Man. If you guys haven't seen this, I think they call it the Leap Frogs. This is a bigger one, they make a smaller one. This bait's hard to beat. I just started using it last year, and right out of the box, it's just like, I did bend the hook slightly up, but I like the way it casts and walks. It's just, so far it's real good. But you guys, if you know me for years, if I had one frog to pick, it would actually be the Booyah, right? This is the popping pad crasher. I just always liked the popping one because I could pop it and I could walk it. I would just, usually that's all I had. Now this is still an excellent bait, probably the best hookup ratio for me out of the box without bending them out, but I've honestly never really bent them out, and I probably need to do that with this dude and still kind of stick with them. Honestly, you guys have probably seen this one. This one is not nowhere near my favorite. So anyway, if I had to pick a favorite frog though, I would actually, just in the short time I've used it, I'd put that even above my coveted Booyah popping pad crasher, the Z-Man Leap Frogs. But you can't go wrong with either one of these. Everybody keeps talking about the Spro. I think I used it back when I first compared it with the popping pad crasher. I felt I had more the hookups, not pulling the hooks, changing them in any way. The hookup ratio was just better. This thing starts out, it's kind of already angled, and it doesn't take much of a, I just felt like I could hook up the fish better with the Booyah popping pad crasher, and it works perfectly. The Spro does too. The Spro, it'll walk and it'll do its stuff too. Let me put this bait back in there. So anyway, number one frog for me at the moment, Z-Man. No, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I wish I was, but then you guys wouldn't know if I was telling the truth or how my feelings are. I may be telling a complete lie for your body of water that I've never fished about what baits are that good. This is just my opinion on my waters. But for a true hard bait top water, it is honestly going to be hard to pick. I guess technically you don't have to. You could go out there with a Whopper Plopper and a Pop Max. But I would say I'll put it this way, the first year I used either one of these, it was just lights out everywhere I went. They've kind of settled down, I guess, over the years. More guys are using Mega Bass baits, around. And then the Whopper Plopper, of course, everybody and their brother throws the big ones, the little ones, and all that. But if I had to pick one, if I had to catch a fish, I'd probably pick this guy right here. This bait will catch you a fish. It will catch you numbers of fish. It will do it. And probably poppers in general, but if I had to pick maybe the best popper ever made, it would probably be the Pop Max. Now you guys watched the show, I've had luck on the Pop X, some of the cheap ones from AliExpress and all that. But as far as if you're out covering water, it's hard to beat a whopper plopper. But just in case you're wondering, that guy right there. Pop Max in that color specifically. That is my favorite color. And I cannot remember the name to save my life, but I don't think I ever could pronounce it even when I had the name down. So, and all this stuff is worn off. This just caught a ton of fish. Yeah. And I have a few of them in there, and I do have a cheap. If you guys are like, oh, well, I'm not spending that much money, AliExpress does have a knockoff. There's a true Pop Max, and then there's a AliExpress knockoff for like $4. I haven't even fished it. It's supposed to give this to Matt. I just never seen. I guess I need to leave this out. He's supposed to be coming to buy some stuff. But yeah. So popper would have to take it. Popping frog though is actually a lot more fun to fish. The hookup ratios aren't going to be as good as with the Pop Max. So, all right, one box. I know we're 16 minutes in. I've only got through one box, but don't worry, it's going to go faster. Let's just, because it's next in line, I'm going to get it out of the way. Let's go with my favorite, and I'm not going to narrow these down to like top water and all this, but favorite BFS, right? And this guy's just in here because there's no room anywhere else. That's a new bait I'm going to try. I've heard good things about these. That's the 6 cents, the smallest one they carry. So here, I don't know if it'll all fit in there, are almost all, I'm not saying 100, there might be a few scattered in another box here or there, but here are my BFS just hard baits. So looking at these, if I could only go out and catch them on one bait on BFS gear, but I had to pick one bait and catch a fish, this is maybe the hardest thing to pick out of any of them, because there's so many different options here. I've got jerk baits up there, I've got square bills there, I've got poppers here, I've got little mid runners up in here, the Dr. Frankenstein's in there somewhere, I got little chatter baits in here, the little bitty micro little 1/16 and 1/8 ounce chatter baits. Oh man, this is a hard decision. If I could only go where no man has gone before. Now, if I only could catch one, there's some little Bagley ones there, another Bagley. These are the little square bills off AliExpress. Here's the Proberos. I probably ought to pick this. This sucker just flat out works. I got a couple of these. I also have these in my regular boxes too, just because they'll work anywhere. But if I had to pick one, and here, I'm going to pick one, but here's my dilemma. Oh boy, look at all those. If you can see it, dangling in there somewhere is the original, I think this is the original Doctor. I've got a couple others. If you see them down there, that's another Doctor. Keep them under lock and key. So yeah, I know, it should have single hooks on those. There's one we should be throwing right now when we were down there catching them with those crawl colored baits. That little dude right there would probably be on fire right now if I wanted to go out fishing. So probably my two favorite, and this one's like on the verge. It can be thrown with very finesse bait casters, but BFS it does best. And then this is true BFS stuff right here. The Dr. Frankenstein, not a true square bill. Kind of comes through cover though with the smaller hooks. Oh man, that is a toss-up. The funnest one to use is probably this guy, and it does catch cold water fish also. But this dude, hands down. If you need a little dinky bass in the boat, or it's fun to catch a bluegill and stuff like that, that Doctor's hard to beat. Should it be a tie? We cannot have a tie. You can only pick one. Just because I'm going to go through and pick a square bill somewhere along the line, I'm not going to pick him. So I'm going to pick the Doctor. Probably this dude right here, Dr. Crankenstein. Just a fun little crank, real cheap on AliExpress. And just flat does work. It does catch fish. That color specifically, but as you can see, half of those in this thing all stuck together are basically the Dr. Crankenstein in a different color. And I call it Crankenstein just because it is a little ultralight cranking monster, and it's kind of got the colors of Frankenstein, right? So anyway, yep, all that. I didn't know that was one I was going to pick, but that's one I have to pick. These little beans are fun to use, but a little harder to fish with, smaller, dinkier fish. That Doctor will catch some bigger fish. The square bills, you guys know me. Chatterbaits and square bills, can't go wrong with those either. This little, I just have to talk about this one though before we go. And as far as a little jerkbait type deal, that is a good made and good working, and I have already caught fish. Haven't used it a ton, but that is just a good little jerkbait. But he didn't make the cut because I just haven't really used him enough. And this little cheap dude, little cream lures, you can get a Bass Pro. I have to give them a nod. Not my favorite, just because they have a little nichey time, little creeks and streams. I feel these others are the Doctor creeks and streams and just out regular ponds and all kinds of stuff. The Doctor's good, but those little dudes, those little jerky type baits, they're good too. All those baits are good. That's why they're still in that box. These baits are good. So there we have it. The Doctor. Who's keeping track? I should be keeping these out and take only these baits fishing with me. Who would like to see that video? If you'd like to see that, either make a comment right now or comment below. Oh boy. Let's jump right to what is probably the most stuffed box other than the one you just saw. Oh man. This is Square Bill City. All different types. I've even got the chick magnet in there just because there's nowhere else to put him. He kind of not really a square bill. I got the Mega Bass knockoffs. There's actually, should be or was at one time an actual Mega Bass in there. I think he's still in there. Yeah, I think I still have one Mega Bass, true Mega Bass that they don't rattle. And these barely fit in here, by the way. I need to probably think about upgrading to a little bit bigger tackle box, but nah, not right now. So we've got, you guys know the deal, right? The Jabberjaw last year, like I felt I was doing pretty good. I haven't used it a ton. I've already caught 5-pounder on it, several fish, several days that it just turned on. One day was a real tough bite, and I caught like 6 or 8 on it. That color specifically, though, I think that olive shad, those other colors of Jabberjaws, I'm not impressed with at the moment. This dude is almost this dead ringer to that Mega Bass color. Just not as that Jabberjaw color. And I've got the deeper ones in a different box out of the square bill box, sort of so I could have room here. So really, would it be between, and here's the Proberos, it's in there. That Proberos is still good. Just haven't had much time. I just got these this winter, those ATVs from Rattle Trap. Bill Lewis, Rattle Trap. Now making, well, they've been making square bills for a while. They finally made some that I felt like buying again. Even to my custom ones, if you guys remember right, I'm still on Average Joe's Fishing Club. I hardly ever comment on there before, but guess I'd made the most comments, or basically what the different things I had posted on there was the most. So I won. I got 2 baits custom painted by, and I can't remember the name. Whoever that is, thank you very much. Somebody may know who they are. They're a member on Average Joe's. If I can get it to focus. Yeah, PBCJK. I think it's a lady, I believe, if I remember right. I'm getting old, my memory. There's the other one. I know, this is about my favorite, but hang on. PBCJK. So I wanted Toledo Gold, which that's pretty much Toledo Gold. And then I wanted kind of the white python crappie style square bill. Unfortunately, I've fished these and I still plan on fishing them. And I'm not knocking the painter. She did a very good job, but the blanks, these square bill blanks, I don't think are as good as some others, and I probably just didn't fish them in the, you know, I probably need to fish them more because you guys know me, the dig it, right? There for the longest time, this exact color also. And if you guys ever come across baits like this that are still being produced, I don't want a bunch of old diggets because I like to bring baits that you guys can still get also. But if you come across, take a good look at that. See how that's made? Somebody somewhere has to still make these, I would think, because they were cheap. They were probably coming from China. I didn't pay attention on the packaging. They were the Cabela's Fisherman Series, the Dig It. You could buy it like 5 or 6 in one pack, you know, the different colors, or you could buy the individuals, and they were like $3.99 each. And they were even cheaper if you bought like the, I don't know, it was 5 or 6 came in a pack together. But that Dig It is just an awesome little square bill. I can't pick it though. If I could only have one, I'm gonna have to leave it out of. I should still have them just because every once in a while I bring them out. It should be the one that if I can only have one, but I'm trying to find a replacement for the Dig It. These little flat sides, they also have their little time and place, but you know what? And then I got a new one to try in our new Crackle Crawl. I've got the old Strike King 1.5, and then of course the Lucky Craft. All these, I think, hang on. I think all these except, so we got the Sexy Shad Strike King is a rattler. This is silent. This is silent. Just your average 1.5. This is a booyah. I don't even know if they make these anymore. It's definitely a booyah. It says right on the lip. But this bait has done okay once. It's a little different take on the square bill. I don't know. Should I go Jabberjaw or Mega Bass knockoff? I have these little griffin things in there, but that's just because that's where I really have room. I don't know. Honestly, I'm going to still go with this. I don't even know. The Proberos, the Dig It, and the Jabberjaw. And that's why you see me with so many different styles of square bills. I've yet to find one that can just take the place of this guy, but this one has its time and place when you need something a little bigger, different sound. So do these regular traditional style, and then these little guys, and I'm hoping these little ATV ones kick in. And that little 6 cents dude also works good too. But if I had to pick, I still got to go with this guy. I guess that's why he's still in the box. Cabela's Fisherman Series, Dig It. The bills are fragile on these is the only downside to these, but I will go in the water after this if it gets hung up. It's coming back unless the bill breaks off. Then it's going in the trash. So yeah, let's move on. Come on, Hicklin. Geez, these videos are forever, right? Yeah. As you guys can tell, like, sometimes it takes a little bit of decision making. All right, let's go. This is the most controversial one in the last couple weeks because I've told you guys, get the Booyah Hard Knocker, right? Get the Booyah Hard Knocker. Put a little video out together showing you how awesome it is. Then I go and buy an LV500, spend all that money, $15, $16, $17, $20, whatever these things cost. They're insanely priced. But man, for that bottom yo-yoing, brew tank. No, I actually haven't drank Fireball since last time I drank Fireball, but it's been a while. I don't even have any to drink. But I should go get some, honestly. It's that kind of rainy night. I need to hurry up and wrap this video up because I need to, I think knowing them, they're still racing RC cars. You guys ever raced RC cars, remote control cars? So as you can tell, I picked up more of these, but is that the one that's still, is that the one you should pick? LV500, the one I should throw more of the sacrifice baits are going to be these guys because I now have 3 of the Crackle Crawl in the Quake 70s, and I've got one Quake 80. I've even got the Quake 70 in this color now. Booyah hard knocker in the bone type. I call it zombie. But going through all these baits, here's new one I have not even tried yet. I still have some of the old Excalibur, the original Excalibur baits. Still have some of those in there. There's a Strike King buried in there. The Sexy Shad. Just a regular rattle trap. That's actually their Toledo Gold color to this bait that tore him up. If you guys just watched that video, because this was my sacrifice bait. And I've got another one, the exact color, floating around somewhere. And I got a couple more different color ones right here. $2, like $2.50 off AliExpress. I just decided to throw it. It was kind of nastier water, not quite muddy, but if I get to anything that I consider like a, you know, even if it's just a mild cappuccino, not a full mocha, not a, you know, cocoa colored water, it's got that brown tint, there's only a foot or, you know, maybe 2-3 foot tops or less visibility. White is hard to go wrong with anything. You want typically loud and white. So these baits would probably all work too. I didn't have this one at the time. And I didn't want to sacrifice any of my little, they're not even really that expensive, but $6-8 bait when a $2 bait would work, and it did work. Now I did go out towards the end. You didn't really see. I did go ahead and I think I caught one on this dude. Since I have 3 of them, I'm like, I can afford to sacrifice one of them just to see if that color was working, and it did. I managed one, and then we decided to move to a different spot. But I didn't even break it out, didn't even throw it. And if I still had to this date pick one bait, let me find it. I think it's this one. One bait to go fishing on a rattle trap is still, even over the LV500, over all of them, is still going to be my Booyah Hard Knocker 3/4 ounce in Toledo Gold. I caught them summertime, wintertime, as you guys have seen, and just, if a fish can be caught on a rattle trap, it can probably be caught on this. Now, are there times where maybe a 1/2 ounce is better, a different color is better, the LV500 may be better, maybe the Quake 70 and all that? Possibly. But I still, that bait right there, hands down, like, it's not even a question for me. Like, if I lose this bait, I got 2 of the, now that the way they goofed up on me, I've got 2 of the one knockers in 3/4 ounce. If you can tell, the color's a touch off. I'm glad this is my good one. But I'll be honest, you're looking at all these color baits, right? Look at all these. They're basically this color, close to it. If I lose this, I'm going to buy another one. I promise you that. I will order another one and buy it, because that is still my favorite, and I have faith in whatever kind of conditions I can probably pull a fish out with that bait. So it still has to be number one. And but a lot of these, the Quake 70, I feel it's closer right there. LV500, it may at some point win out for me, and I'll see this summer as I got a couple different colored ones I plan on using a vid. I'll probably get a white one, but still, it's the Booyah, still. So don't lose sleep. That was, oh, who was that? Oh, I'm sorry. I done forgot your name. I had it in my head. I forgot it. He commented, said he went out and bought some, and then put out a video talking about how good the LV500, and then he hadn't even mentioned about seeing how the $2 bait worked really good one day. But anyway, yeah. It wasn't Nate, I don't think. No, it was, oh shoot. I know your name. I just can't think of it right now. And I would like to thank you guys that comment a lot, and I do sort of know your name. I should know your name even better, like Jay and HP and Brew Tank and Nate, and I cannot think of, now I got a mental block. I can't think of your name. And there's several others. And trust me, I may not be able to say your name right here, but as soon as I see you comment or in here on live stream or in the deal, I recognize you as the subscribers, my buddies that comment on videos. Charles, more than Charles, who is usually fishing in almost all the videos. And Matt ever watches the channel unless I send him a video. But as you see before you, I had to move out. So I had to branch out my jerk baits and my rattle traps, just so I could kind of get to where I am with chatterbaits. You know, kind of go down that rabbit hole a little further, and I'm not going much further. I'm pretty much there because I don't plan on spending a ton of money on jerkbaits, because jerkbaits for me are definitely a seasonal bait. It's really a water type bait. It's a clear, cool water. That's why I feel a jerkbait is probably going to be as good or better than anything else you could throw, but it may not be. It may, you may think it is, and then it may not be. Something else may work, but they're always worth trying. And just because I've torn them up since I started using this, and I don't know for sure if it's the size, color, or whatever, and I'd have to say it's just the kind of both. It's the Vision 110 Junior plus one, or plus one Junior, or however they say that. On here, it's worded 110 plus 1 Junior. But that dude in that elegy bone is just a very good bait. Now, up until I bought those two, there's the only other Megabass jerkbait I bought. I've never bought a regular Vision 110. This is the Vision 110 square bill in that color, sort of like my Pop Max is. Similar color. This bait's caught a ton. Still has original hooks. I've kind of had to bend them, straighten them out, and they're way past should have been changed out. But, you know, I'm not a tournament fisherman, so I need to get new hooks for it and just keep fishing it, because I'll fish it until it just breaks. But that is just an awesome bait. Kind of a little clear water, but I've actually done decent with it in probably when I shouldn't have been fishing a jerkbait, but I just tried it anyway and it did work. And I also got this color, but what you see on the other ones, almost every other bait in here, other than I did get the Shimano World Minnow, and it did okay. It's a good bait, I think, but I still don't have it. I think you have to get a fish like where this may be as good or better at doing something than a Vision 110 is if they're so finicky, they're coming up and they're looking, but then they just won't hit a jerkbait. That little flash boost. There's times when maybe that may be the difference to get you a bite when you couldn't get a bite on a jerkbait. But then there's probably also, honestly, another bait that would work, you know what I mean, kind of deal. So all these other ones are knockoffs. So I'm going to show you, I had to cut out a little deal to make that. That's the real deep diver in a knockoff. So would it be this, or would it be my, I guess, favorite at one time was this dude, and that's an RC Sticks. Right? So not Lucky Craft, but yeah, Lucky Strike, not Lucky Craft. The RC Sticks, that color, I call it the clown. I'm not sure what that color was. But I probably went a whole season where that, when I threw a jerkbait, that was what I threw, and it just worked. It caught fish. It's kind of that white. It's not really a matte, but it's not really shiny either. And it just seemed like in dirtier but clear water, like that bait will work. I like that color. But every one of these that I have right now are basically RC Sticks or a copy of the Megabass Vision 110. These are the first juniors or plus ones I have. I got a couple knockoffs that are like juniors, but I don't think they're quite as good, in my opinion. I think like this knockoff, it's probably not quite as good as the true Vision 110, but it's not far. The RC Sticks, they're like right there. So if you're trying to save money, you don't want to spend a lot on jerkbaits because you kind of don't throw them a lot. But I would actually have to pick this guy, the Vision 110 plus 1 Junior. If I had to pick one jerkbait to go fishing with, just because if you haven't watched the videos, it's not really the right way to do it, but I was kind of jerking the rod up to keep it from going deep. I was throwing it in like dirt, not dirt shallow, but say 4 foot of water. And I just thought that color is what was working the best, so I kept fishing it and I kept managing to catch fish. So I guess what I'm saying is you can take this as a little smaller bait, so it stands a chance to get maybe bit a little more often than a true Vision 110. You can only get a Vision 110 down so far. Any of these shallower running, smaller build baits, they'll only get so deep. I feel you can cheat the system with these little bit deeper diving ones. And if you need to get shallow, you could by just holding your rod up. But yeah. Oh, Brew Tank asked me what rod do I throw my lipless on. I'm still kind of up in there, but I'm pretty sure that my lipless rod period, my favorite one so far, is my Carbon Light 2.0 7-foot medium moderate. I feel with it, I'm less likely to lose them. I think I also like the 6'9" medium heavy, but only for the bigger ones, like 3/4 ounce with the bigger hooks. You know, if you go to the half ounce, I think it may be a little too much muscle or horse for those smaller treble hook baits. So the overall for me, I like it. They're just funner to catch on. Also, is a 7-foot medium moderate. For lipless, for these jerk baits, is so far I'm liking one of those Lure Star contest rods I got. If you guys remember that middle one, not the light, not the medium, but the medium light. It's called the Quick. There's a sharp, the quick, and the feeling. The quick's that middle one. It just feels like the best so far. Now it's not great. I still feel I don't have I've not come across my jerkbait rod yet. So that's probably going to be one of my next adventures in fishing rods, because I feel I've got my chatterbait rod, lipless, and cranks, and honestly for the square bills I'll probably be throwing that 7-foot medium moderate too. It's kind of like the 6'9" is for me on my single hook, like chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, all these different things, small jigs and stuff. The 7-foot medium moderate is kind of like that also on my small moving type baits. So I'm going to try to fit the contest rods in there for some of the slower soft plastics, jigging type stuff, because they're a little more sensitive, that kind of deal. So anyway, there it is right there in jerk baits. Now, I'm still up in the air on these. I haven't fished these enough. You guys probably seen these. I just put them in here because it's the only place I had room for. I didn't have room in my topwater box. But we've got the Hellraisers. And then we've got these smaller little kind of jerk type deals. But these are by far not my favorite. I just feel there's times. That's a Mega Bass one right there. I'm not even sure what that one's called. I was going to try to get to focus. But it's upside down. But you guys could read it if you really wanted to. If I could only get it to focus. Oh my God! Now I'm on a mission. It wasn't upside down. What is that? I can't even read it. Mega Bass Live X? Is that what that says? I think part of it's missing. There's like a... Well, me trying to hold it and read it. Well, it was there for a second. If a guy really wanted to pause it, he could probably read it. I kind of like these. They're all right. I've caught a fish on them here and there. Some of these little, but these are by far not my favorite things to throw. I like throwing one of these style baits, and if they're not there, I find something else. But as far as the Hellraisers, I've heard good things about this one. I've yet to throw it when I feel there is any kind of topwater bite going. It's been winter kind of deal, but I've heard this one's a real good one to get, and that's the something death. I forget what they call it now. But you can't miss it. You go to Tackle Warehouse and look it up. I like the bone one, and then just a kind of a naturally, but with the little chartreuse tail feathers, and then just a black one. I'm not going to buy any more of these until further notice, because I don't know if they're any better than, say, a Whopper Plopper, like that aggressive topwater bites going on. Anyway, stay tuned for that. They are not on my list. If I had to pick a topwater bait right at this moment, I know I call these a topwater chatterbait, and you think I'd probably pick one of those, but they just haven't caught me enough. They haven't really kicked in yet for me anyway. It'd have to be the Pop Max and then a Whopper Plopper before these dudes. But they're still on the list, or Buzzbait. But Buzzbait's in a separate category. We're getting ready to get to those. Alright, now, this is my last into the true hard baits, because I don't go very deep. Once you get past, say, 12 foot, maybe, I'm done fishing deep diving cranks. I'm going to throw a jig. I'm going to throw soft plastics. I'm going to do lipless kind of deal and bounce it all. I'm not really going to fight once you get past some of these lips. I mean, maybe I should at some point. Maybe I will pick up that game, but I tried it a few different times. I don't know if I had a 10XD. I think I tried a 6XD or 8XD, and I've had a few of these other ones. If you guys remember right, the I don't know, several different deep diving ones, a couple different Mega Bass ones. Not a huge fan, not even a huge fan of this dude. But I'm kind of starting to get in on the rock crawler, right? You got your bigger rock crawler. You got these bigger kind of knockoffs of wiggle warts. They're actually knockoff of the rock crawler. And then the smaller ones. Where is that? The smaller one? No, that's the big, or that's the little one. So it is almost an exact copy of a rock crawler. These firetail ones, they are very, very close. They are more like a rock crawler than a wiggle wart. So anyway, we've kind of got those rock crawler, wiggle wart style, right? Deep diving jabberjaw, I'd put these close. Now these don't get quite, these get like a wiggle wart type, maybe not quite as deep, a little different style. They definitely don't quite get down what the big like rock crawler does. They're like, I think these are 7 to 9. These are like 9 to 12 or 14 or I forget. So it's hard to call which one I would have to pick. If I had to pick one, I would probably pick, I know somebody's going to say the rock crawler. I should have bought it. I was out at Cabela's and they had the color Delta Crawl that are close to the Toledo Gold color. I need to get those and try those in this, if the bite's already still around. And I got this one to try. This dude's got a little bitty skinnier. I got to pick one, and I don't really want to pick one. I've had luck on the deep diving jabberjaw, but we've had luck on these also. Charles really had luck. I've had some luck. I've caught some fish, but I haven't like been a lights out deal. Charles was tearing them up, and I think he had the shallower diving one. It's a little smaller body. I call it peanut butter jelly. They call it something else. This is a toss-up. I really don't throw these as much as I probably should. Right? Once it starts getting that deep, you guys know me. I'm a rattle trap kind of guy, right? I would put... I would put this guy right there with my Booyah hard knocker in the Toledo Gold for that. Once you start bouncing it off on the outside grass edge or bouncing it off rocks in that 7 to 9 foot. But the rock crawlers and these though would probably be better. This is a tough one really, because I'll be honest, in my opinion, there's all kinds of other baits I could pop in my head that I would throw over a deep diving crank running through like as a search bait, just throwing along rocky edges as you're going. Then if you slow down, you could run everything that I've had out already. The bottom bouncing from the soft plastics to zinkers to the sweet beaver to jig, which we're getting ready to get to. Or the lipless cranks, slow rolling the spinner bait. I'm going to predict when I get the right color I want, the rock crawler. If I had to pick one right now though, it's this guy. I've had better luck on that deep diving jabberjaw than I've had on any of these other baits, just me. Now I watched Charles have better luck in one weekend. Actually, it lasted about 2 weekends. He was having better luck with these. Now, I caught some on my rock crawler, but it still hasn't wowed me yet. But I'm not sure. That color should be a decent color, too. It's just not. I'm going to get the color I really like. A couple colors I really like in that rock crawler. These are done. I'm not getting any more of these. I'm going to try that color. Jabberjaw, I'm only sticking with that color. And I do have kind of a whitish one. But the white colors, they just tend to work better for me for the jabberjaw anyway. So did we pick it? Stick with the jabberjaw, hold true to it. They're kind of in a different class, but you can't go wrong really. If you got a rock crawler knockoff, if you've got a wiggle wart, or the deep diving jabberjaw. But if I had to pick one, I'm still sticking with my deep diving jabberjaw. Right? Hold your 7-foot rod down in the water to the reel where you're as you're reeling it, your hands barely nicking the water on your knuckles, and it'll get down there pretty deep, and you can catch them. Now comment if you guys have something that you consider in that mid-depth, not true deep crankbaiting, but something like that. You guys comment there, because I would honestly wouldn't mind picking up something. If you 100% know, like, it's a fish catching machine, it can beat a wiggle wart. If not, I don't want to hear about it. All right, now we're going to our sort of, and I'm going to start the opposite way with these. I'm going to go kind of from the bottom to the top. So we went from the top to the bottom, more or less, with the hard baits. Now we're going to go to our bottom to the top. So let's just jigs. Now, I'm not a fan of like high dollar jigs, and I guess we didn't do like swim bait, underspins, this kind of stuff, because I'm still, I'll be honest, with these spinner baits and all that, I guess I'd probably pick a spinner bait over this unless you get finessey. Like, I consider an underspin or a swim bait in general just one of, like, you've already not rattle trap. Chatterbait bite is totally off. Spinnerbait bite isn't even on. And then that's when you go with maybe an underspin, then just a regular, just a jig head with one of these swim baits. Like I showed you guys that one in the my favorite color probably. And I only have like 3 left. I need to buy a whole nother pack and maybe a couple different sizes. I need the next size up just to be able to use it. But the electric shad. So I don't really have a favorite head. These are just the Berkeley ones, and they're not bad. They're not great in my opinion but they're not bad. So on a jig head, we're not going to go there. Let's go just to straight jigs. Just recently, if I had to pick, I guess one that you guys could go and get anywhere, it would probably be, well, let's just say if I'm going to pick a regular traditional 1/2 ounce, that's a structure jig from Strike King. Here's a flippin' fluoro from Strike King. And then here's just our cheap finesse from Rogers Sporting Goods. As you can tell, I've got the Baby Rage Menace in that exact color, because this dude works awesome. I actually have 2. I have 2 of them rigged up, just so if one pops off, throw the other one on. There's another flippin' fluoro. I'd say to date, I still would have to pick. It could actually just switch out. Like, if you know you're going to be, because I kind of use this like a swimming and a just bounce. Like this, I know it says for flipping, but I kind of use it as an all-around. Same thing with the finesse light ones. I just, when I guess in shallower water, I'll use this one. When I'm in a little deeper water, I'll use this. And then when I'm throwing, definitely when I'm throwing around, just what this says, structure jig, if I'm throwing around structure. But like for me, what I do most is probably the shallower water. So I'm going to have to go, I just have these all together because they're all black and blue. I'm going to have to go with this in black and blue. This right here, I feel is just an awesome, just a finesse jig will get you a touch more, bites than the bigger jigs. Now, if you're truly out hunting for big fish, probably these 2 colors, black and blue, probably my favorite. But there's times when that just a more of a, whether it be pumpkin, watermelon color, but with some touches of chartreuse in it. Even over the, I find the orange isn't as good, in my opinion anyway. But yeah, in the waters I fish, black and blue probably. This dude right here. Just a round head finesse. Jewel makes them. These are not just like house brand, Rogers Sporting Goods. Or you can buy 10 of them for $1 each. Well worth the money. Get them in several different colors. I got some peanut butter and jelly ones. That's what I call peanut butter and jelly. And some regular green ones. But if I was strictly going to brush and nasty stuff, that structure, I've had pretty good luck just to no more than I've used it. The Denny Brower, and that's just a 1/2 ounce. And then the flipping fluoro ones, the Hackney ones. They're a little thinner, so I feel you can like just jerk them. Like if you're in a faster moving, not a true swim jig, but you're moving along the bottom faster, kind of covering water, searching deeper water. It's hard to beat those flipping fluoro ones, in my opinion. But that structure jig, if you know you like see a stump, a lay down, something you want to throw a jig in there, you're just going to be bouncing around wood. So far, that one's been very good. I hate to talk about it because then it'll probably let me down, but something like that. But the winner, still to date, is still just a cheap dollar one from Rogers with just a Baby Rage Menace on the back. You can throw it out. Now, shallower water, say 8 foot and shallower, something like that. If you get anywhere around that 6 to 8 or deeper, and that's what you're living on, you might want to go with those. And if you're moving, covering water, go with the flipping fluoro. If you know you're just throwing it into certain places out deeper, it's hard to beat that structure jig. But this one's my pick for the way I fish a jig. That dude right there. All right, let's wrap this video up. We only got a few more. It's been almost an hour. Oh my God. So just to get it out of the way, and then we've got 3 more. Just because I'm not even going to pick anything out of here, because my favorite glide bait are these cheap ones from AliExpress. You guys know the deal if you've seen those. Just awesome baits for like $3.50. I'll get one out just to show you real quick. They come with the magnet deal to where the hooks. I do not like those hooks, but I'm just going to leave them on for now. The first bait I got, I did switch out the hooks, and I can't remember which. I had another bait that I just switched the hooks out with. But I went on a tear with this bait, and they take a little bit of getting to how to work them, just right on the surface. Almost like I use these when I'm thinking like a topwater bait may work, but I just want a chance at a, I guess, bigger fish. But awesome baits. Got several videos out talking about those. If I had to pick one of these colors, I guess, and just a glide bait. And I will tell you that the one I keep hearing about that also works good, I actually own one. One of the first Bass and Bones I giveaway videos, I gave away a lot of my swim bait type stuff, and then one of those was in there, was the S-Waver, the smaller one from a River to Sea. So the true Mega Bass ones, the S-Wavers, or like one of these knockoffs, you can't go wrong with the little, good glide bait. Just any time where you want to try your hand at it, these are light enough you can throw on your, actually you could probably flip that medium moderate. I wouldn't have a problem with throwing it out. If I remember right, I was throwing them on a NRX 802C. Got on a tear with that bait. But anyway, check those out. That's not really part of this little, if I could only have one. So we're gonna go spinner baits, just because my least favorite jigged type deal. I even prefer throwing a jig over a spinner bait, because if I'm throwing a spinner bait, I'd rather be throwing a chatterbait, is kind of why, because I love chatterbaits. But if I had to pick one spinner bait, honestly, I've been liking for a while, and I don't even know if they make them anymore. I bought, I think all that Rogers had. Strike King made this a while back. I like the more finessey, the smaller ones. So this dude was my favorite for the longest, and it's got a lot of the weight hidden in there. It's just lead, but it kind of gives you, like, I guess you could get tungsten ones now, and it wasn't that expensive, but it was a Strike King Bleeding series or something, because it had red. Just awesome little, more like compact bait. I can't really call it now because I don't even know if you can get them anymore, for one. But if I was you guys, and I would think about, you want to get in on that game, and here's one I should be throwing like right now. These Z-Man ones are hard to beat. They've got that good, they've got good blades. They vibrate. Like, you can feel this bait when you're working it. It's not a chatterbait feel, but it's like, in my mind, they're the best feeling spinner baits that give you feedback. I fish with braid, and it doesn't really matter what rod. These kind of give you that feedback. So if I had to pick one, it'd probably be that guy right there. It's hard to go wrong with the chartreuse and white spinnerbait, and then especially this time of year right now, you had that little bit of orange on it. So yeah, that was simple, but I'll be honest, I don't throw these a lot. I've got several of them. I have about, how many's in there? 1, 2, 3, 4. 11 or 12. Anyway, I have over 20 spinner baits, and I probably have 20 too many for no more than fishing. But they're good to have, and trust me, if somebody's like, they're biting on spinner baits, that's why I got those. I can start throwing spinner baits. But I feel if I maneuver and get my chatterbaits right, I can catch my chatterbaits. Now, just because I'm just getting this out of the way, then we're going to go to my favorite thing, chatterbaits. That's going to be a big one. We're already right at an hour. We got 2 more to go. Buzzbaits are going to be simple because they're all friggin' Guggen baits. If you guys remember that crazy ordeal with the Guggen thing. If you haven't watched those videos, check them out. And these are all just, like, I have too many. I ordered a batch. They were all screwed up. They sent me a whole nother batch, and I've got way too many buzzbaits. But if I had to pick one, it's going to be real simple. A 1/2 ounce black and blue with the gold blade Guggen bait. Once you true it up, these baits are hard to beat. They work. They may come out of the package and you got to go through the whole, if you haven't watched those videos, watch them. I probably ought to go back and rewatch it just so I can remember exactly how I was tweaking these. But if you can tell, I've kind of tweaked a lot of these blades around just to get them to run 100% true. So if you can find a black and blue with the gold blade buzzbait other than a Guggen, I'll be honest, you probably ought to buy it first because these are notorious for coming out of the package not running at you. Like they're running and they're pulling this way or that way, and which can make them ride up if you're going faster. You want a buzzbait. Now some people say they'll bend that on purpose to get it to go and like skip it under a dock, and then it'll come in and bounce off the wood on the legs or something. I don't like that. I want my buzzbait to come straight back at me. And I want it to where I can go, fast or slow, but I don't want this to like start lifting. And I want it to be able to cast good. Like some buzz baits are just hard. You can't hardly cast like you cast them and they get to twirling. And no matter what you do, every other cast they'll twirl. Could cause a backlash. It's just hard to be accurate with them. These are pretty good at all that. Once you just have to, like I said, you have to tweak them to where they'll run straight back at you. And once you get that done, they are pretty good baits. But if I could only pick one buzz bait, and that's just after this year. Like honestly, before this last year, when we were tearing them up with Matt with these, my go-to same bait basically, but was any sort of chartreuse and white buzz bait with just a regular blade. I don't even know if I've got one still around here. But for years, I swore by chartreuse and white. And there still may be a time, but like right now, I still, black and blue chatterbait with gold blade, black and blue buzzbait. This one's chewed up, but I like these style of blades. Like, so if I could only pick one chatter or a buzzbait blade, it's definitely that style, right? And some of these still have the, like this old school one still has like the patent number on it. But I like those style blades. So you guys, if you want to get picky on color, and I like a 1/2 ounce chatterbait, and I still like, or chatterbait, oh my God, buzzbait. And I like my buzzbaits with the skirts. I've tried them, and there's still one floating around here somewhere maybe. That I've tried them, I haven't really tried them with the true frog, but I've tried them different spinner or swim baits and stuff like that. I still like traditional style. And I've got a bunch. I will tell you before I go to my last one, that color there, I have not had the luck with. I thought that may be like a good one. So I'll be honest, as these black and blue ones wear out, what you'll probably see happen is I'll peel all that off, put more or less like a black, I'll paint the head the rest of the way black, and then put probably just a black, maybe a little black and blue skirt on it. And those eventually be like that because I just don't feel I have. There's just something about that. Like you wouldn't think it would matter. You think if anything, they think that looked like a bluegill, and there'd be times where they tear that up. But that black, mainly black, it's got just a hint of blue fleck in it. Is just by far out of the Guggen colors. It's by far better than this white. I don't know if this because it has this pinkish haze to it or what. They all catch fish, but then this one would be next, and then this one would be last on my list. If you guys have been thinking about trying the Guggen ones out on colors, get this color right here, gold blade. Next color wouldn't be a gold blade; it would be just a chartreuse and white with the regular silver blade would be my next pick. All right, final box, the money box, right? I've wasted more money throwing this bait around when the chatterbait bite wasn't on, trying to get a chatterbait bite on, right? So I'm sure some of you guys probably already know, like, oh, I know what Charlie's picking, right? Or he's picking this or that. So I'm going to give you just a few options, or that were options in my mind. So is it a Z-Man original? Is it a jackhammer? Is it a jackhammer knockoff? Which one is it? We want to know, right? And I do have to give an honorable mention. If you haven't tried out the videos yet, this winter videos, if you're just still watching these live streams, you refuse to watch them, go back and watch. I caught some cold water fish on that exact bait right there. That is the purple haze zinkers cut down on, that isn't even a slobber knocker, it's a slobber knocker knockoff, and I love this color. I wish I could get this color, and I could, I guess, try to untie that and put it on a regular, you know, one of the Z-Man chatterbaits, but man, and I have caught fish on that. But is that my favorite? By far, no. I like that color though. So is it this dude? Probably not. So let's take this dude. Is it the Bee Height Delight? That is a good possibility. Or is it just a knockoff? Or is it a true jackhammer half ounce in the black and blue? Or there's more. I know what you're thinking. This is honestly a toss-up. I haven't even picked it in my head, and there's that huge monster that I needed to throw. Charles, I should have thrown this when we were catching them, bouncing them off the bottom. I should have put something on the back of this and basically almost jigged it up and down, that big heavy one. And I meant to throw the deep diving jabber jaw too, didn't. All right, back to what I was talking about. I still don't even know which one I'm going to pick here because I've done so good with them. So we've got, and I'm taking this one out of the thing. So the regular, now that's, we'll talk about that trailer in a minute. So we've got basically a gold blade knockoff, the regular jackhammers, which I haven't even tried to put a gold blade on a black and blue jackhammer. Or, where's he at? Let me get to that one. Don't even belong over there. That's a little bitty dude. Get out of there. Or is it one of these little bitty micros or minis? Nah, I can't have them in there. Hang on. I'm trying to find a bait over here. That is not you. Ah! Hang on. Or is it still a Z-Man original, right? Big old hook, bigger than these hooks. Where's one of these hooks at? Not by a lot, but still a bigger, just a little bit taller, a little bit stouter. Probably not as sharp, but if you, when you set the hook on those, they just flat will get them also, right? So what is my favorite chatterbait, period? I mean, if you go by the money, you can't beat the knockoffs, right? You just get the 3/8 ounce. I'm going to have to say, or the regular jackhammer. We got the half ounce Bee Height Delight. I honestly think that, I will tell you this, the colors, I'm starting to like the Bee Height Delight or this green color almost as much as I do black and blue. I feel pretty confident that if you just switch out, you can go with the crazy bright trailer to match, or more subtle, just like green pumpkin type trailer. Changes that up. Same thing with the black and blue. You can add a lot blue, or you can actually just mainly black with some blue fleck. But those two colors are by far, they're right there in my tops, but the black and blue is probably still my favorite. So now, just pretend that's black and blue, not purple. I just had that on there to try it. Let's just talk about the heads themselves. You know, is the Z-Man or the heads and the hooks, the Z-Man original, a jackhammer, or our imitation one? This is honestly a toss-up. I need to rig these up exactly the same way in a video. I'm going to pick one now, but I need to rig up, I need to get, and Charles is working on getting me one. He was coming across these hand-tied, they're the Elites, the Z-Man, not the original, the Elites. They're a hand-tied skirt. The heads are a little bit flatter looking. They're painted a little bit different. And he's getting a color for me. It's supposed to be Charles. That when Charles tears them up, and normally if Charles catches a chatterbait fish before me, it's always on this bait. I'm like, where did you get that? I've never even seen those. And I guess it's because it's the Elites, and I just never looked at them, or they never had the colors at the tackle place I'm at. He must have got them at Everhart's. Man, this is honestly a toss-up. I will say, you got to watch these more. They're cheaper, but you do have to watch. That point will roll, and then you got to push it back down. You guys probably heard me talk about it. But I feel it's right there in the half ounce. It has as big a hook. But this isn't a half ounce. This is 3/8 ounce. You can see it's got a smaller hook, which could be a good thing if you're wanting to catch them on smaller rod. The problem is the blade's just as big. So therefore, there's stand a chance of not getting the initial unless you pull on them kind of deal. So my favorite, I'm gonna have to do that. Brew Tank's gonna like kill me when I say this. He already knows what I'm gonna say, but I'm gonna have to go with the jackhammer, just for the fact that if you could only have one, this is going to wear out before jackhammer, no doubt. It's only like $2. This is $15. This bait's going to wear out faster. But you can catch a bunch of fish. You can have several different colors like we have. But I need to get, here's what I need to do. I need to go ahead, I've got one of these already. So 3/8 ounce, black and blue with the gold blade. I'm going to need to buy a jackhammer 3/8 ounce. I'm going to have to put a gold blade on it because I don't think you can buy it the gold blade. I think they also now make a Thunder Cricket, possibly. And then I need to get the Z-Man original black and blue gold blade and a 3/8 ounce, because I feel a 3/8 ounce would be the size I would pick over a half nowadays. I know it used to always be a half, and it probably should be, but it's not, because I feel once you rig up, whether it be that the smaller slim baits, and then I'll talk about this real quick and then I'm going to end this video. Yeah, I started to give away the jackhammers, but then I kept them, if you remember right. Because they just work. It's like, why give them away? Like, and it's hard to justify telling you guys to go buy them when you can just go get these knockoffs that honestly, for, like when you pull this new out of the package and you go fishing, compared to a new jackhammer, I don't feel you're missing anything. 3/8 ounce, you're missing a little bit on the hook size, but if you go buy half ounce jackhammer, half ounce these, and a half ounce Z-Man original, they're all going to have the same fish attracting power. I swear to it. Like, there's no difference. What's going to happen is over a period of time, if you hit this on even the right fish's bony part of his mouth, or on rocks, or on a piece of wood, get hung up and you yank it off, you have to check that. I've never had one of the jackhammers roll up on me. The Z-Man original, I don't think I've ever had to mess with the hooks on those, say when they're new. Like, if you guys follow the Informative Angler, he still claims that he gets more bites on, or catches more fish on the Z-Man original. I can't say that. I can say that I don't think the jackhammer or these knockoffs are going to get you any more bites. What you're going to have happen, this needs to be fished on a stouter, just plain and simple, stouter rod, stouter line, everything. You guys seen this, and that's why I think everybody nowadays, they start fishing with these jackhammers and these smaller, little bit different style hooks on these other brands, and so you got to get more subtle. But once you figure out the whole deal with the chatterbait, it's not that you need to have a rod that, you know, lets the fish get the bait. I think the fish get it. When they hit this bait, they're either taking it this way they're usually coming from behind and they're knocking slack in your line and they're sucking, right? Like a fish, every fish that, when they open their mouth and they're decided to eat it, that's how they do it. They're basically pulling in water as they're opening their mouth. And so what happens, that blade goes down and they got it. Well, if you feel that and your first instinct is just pop. You do not, even though it's a bladed jig, it's not a jig hook. You don't want that Gerald Swindle slack line in them, because what you'll do, you'll give them slack, or you don't pull enough, and when you pop it, as you pop this up, it's like it's like a mouth opener. It's a largemouth bass or smallmouth opener. So you're pulling the bait out of their mouth as this is pulling up, and that hook has not started to penetrate. It's not even anywhere yet. It's probably just in their mouth. Now you may get lucky, it may stick somewhere, but that's why on a chatterbait, and it's hard to do. It's just like a frog bite. You gotta not see the frog bite. You gotta feel the frog bite, or at least give it a count of a couple to where you can tell that he's got it good on top water. The chatterbait bite is the same way, because if you just instinct is to yank. Now why everybody is doing it with this fluorocarbon and a real soft and a fiberglass rod is, well, what you're doing is that when you're pulling to swing and doing all that, that you're doing such a soft pull and swing and setting hook, you're kind of doing that in slow motion. But I feel you can still do it with a very stout rod. You could probably even use a jig rod with 40-pound braid to a 20-pound, P-line original or fluorocarbon leader. And as long as you pull and you load the rod, what you're doing is you're pulling it out, then you yank. You've got a better chance on all these baits. But I feel whether you've decided to use a softer rod or whatever, the Z-Man Original still probably got the best hook in the business for hookups. It's probably the worst hook for getting a bait to, a chance of a fish seeing that huge hook and turning it off in clear water and that kind of thing, but it's hard to beat that. But I honestly have to say, if I could only pick one, it would probably be it'd be a black and blue with a gold blade, and it would probably be a jackhammer, or no, it'd probably be a jackhammer in a 3/8 ounce that I've yet to actually buy. Black and blue 3/8 ounce with put a gold blade on it. But this is right there also. So thanks, Brew Tank. You just cost me a lot more money. I'm keeping the jackhammers I have, which I already knew I was, but I probably am going to buy a black and blue 3/8 and then a black and blue Beehive Delight in a 3/8. And I'm going to leave this. I probably should put a gold blade on it too, but I'll probably leave it alone, and then I'll try to put a gold blade on the other one. Hopefully I don't weaken the metal enough. You basically just pull that out, switch out the blades. I don't even know if they make I'll probably use one of the gold blades I already have. So anyway, there it is. You got me. This may end up being a decent little bait too if I just figure out how they like it ran and all that kind of stuff. But the two trailers that are by far my favorite, I've already talked about the one, the Baby Rage Menace. Just grab one, put it on, and forget about it, but it's going to fall off eventually. This is still the very first one I made last season and started doing real good with it. That is the goat cut way down. Not the baby goat, not the billy goat. The regular goat cut down and then stuck on. And I also like this on, I like the goat on the regular jigs. You guys may have seen it on a couple of the jigs that I was looking through earlier. So there you have it. Any questions, as this video is taking forever? Hey, I'll tell you right now, the bait that caught all the fish, well, it caught 4 of my 5 keepers, or, kept us from getting skunked at that pit we were at that skunked us before. I'm not going to lie, that was out. It was in my box. I got another one of those pretzel containers I was getting ready to try to sell for, $1, $2 a piece. Charles bought all those ones. But I had this dude out. I was like, before I made this whole box, my rattle trap box, I'm like, I'm going to get rid of these. So actually every rattle trap you see down here was ready to go bye-bye. And then I thought, well, it did catch fish. Like I bought them, and this one has caught me fish already. So I was like, oh, I'll put them back in. I'll use them like sacrifice baits, right? I'm gonna throw them in where, because I knew where we were going is all nasty and woody. So I pulled this one, a couple others back out just to take and throw. And man, it went on a tear. And I'm like, dude, now I got to like spread everything out. So I put the jerk baits all in their own box. This used to be swim. What was I have on the side? Swim, rattle, and jerk is basically what this box originally started. I just had a couple jerk baits. I had a few different true rattle traps and some other like swim bait type stuff. Nothing much. And then now it's evolved everything in here except for these two compartments. These are like extra hooks, and then the little bands. These are the small rattle traps, and these were actually out, and then I brought them back out once I saw kind of what they're intended for, these little dudes. So they may come in handy at a time or two. So now, yeah, I got them all back out, and I'm honestly going to probably order. They got one other color. I like these colors, okay, and there's one other color in these cheap couple dollar ones. And I mean, they're just good little baits. I've got this exact color, and the one I was doing the cast testing with, it's all beat up looking. I'm going to pull it back out and put better hooks on it and use it too. They're just my like sacrificial, throw them in there where they may not come back and try them. But then if I get on a good bite, or if I just feel I know it should be good, then we'll break out the bad boy. He'll come out. So there you have it. Hopefully you guys liked that video. That was definitely some of those were actually tough to pick one. What I should do, if Brew Tank would comment and double dog dare me, maybe I'll even do it in Charles's kayak, not the set on top kayak. I'll go kayak fishing, so I'll get me a little day box, and I'll take each one of these baits I picked up. I may have to, my memories, I'm getting old, 51 years old. I may have to pull out this video and watch it again, take each one of those baits, put them in a little day box, and go fishing and just see how well I do. Then what I also need to do is go fishing without any of those baits, and I bet you I probably do close to the same, because half of these favorites is a kind of a confidence thing, but a lot of times if one bait's working, you know, if one rattle trap's working, another one's working. And a perfect example is you guys are going to see coming out in our jerkbait video. Me and Charles went fishing, and I started the craze last week. You guys maybe have seen that video. I think it's already out, where I was starting to catch him on that +1 junior. And then so Charles, he had one or two jerkbaits, so he pulled one out. He caught a couple, but then it wasn't good, so he went that during that week. And then so last weekend he used it. He pulled a cheap one, and Charles, we still need the name of that bait. It was a good looking bait, but it's just a 2-hooked jerkbait, but it's a square bill jerkbait. It's got a square bill just like my Vision 110 square bill. But it's got 2 hooks. It's not as long. It's not 110 millimeters. That's why they call them Vision 110s. Here's a knockoff right here that I broke the bill, so I turned this into. This used to be when I tie a knot, like I put a snap on, and to pull it, you know, wet the line and then pull them tight, and I use it for like that, kind of like a tool. Anyway, that bait is also very awesome. But Charles went, I guess, I think it was just Walmart. I don't think it was Ozark Trail, but he thought it was a Rapala, whatever you call it. I call them Rapalas. And it didn't say it anywhere on the bait when I was looking at it, though. So anyway, you'll see it in the video, and I held it up. If you guys know what it is, we need to get it. So Bruce Tank says, do it. Kayak, 2 rods. What's your go-to chatterbait and what? Yeah, my... honestly, right at this moment, if just going on this theme we just had, since this may be my longest video ever, if I could only have one rod and reel to use for like everything you see me, I'm going to pull it out of this package, you know, out of the boxes it was in, put it out here, put it in a day box, go fishing. But I can only take one rod and reel. One. I can tell you right now, it would not be my 6'9" medium heavy with the Zillion. Although I could probably get it done with that. It might be tough on some of that smaller stuff, especially throwing a Vision 110 plus 1 Junior. You can still do it. I can just crank my drag back a little bit. But I really think, and it would be hard to do it with this rod also, but setting a jig, hook, and throwing little cranks and doing, I think the 7-foot medium moderate with my new steez, of course. I'm going to take my highest dollar reel as my first pick because that shallow spool, probably with 15-pound braid, if I had to pick one line, it would be 15-pound braid. And you know I'm going to say 15-pound P-line original as leader material. I've always said that for years. Charles, and none of you guys have probably still went to Tackle Warehouse and ordered any P-line original for regular line, or probably not the best for regular line because it does stretch some. But it works. You guys see me. I was using 6-pound in a video, just throwing when I first started this rattle trap craze. It's good line, but I'm just a braid guy. I like the braid. I like the sensitivity. I'm what I call. I'm not really a neat freak when it comes to my tackle. I kind of am, but I'm like a control freak when it comes to fishing. I want to know what that bait's doing. I'm imagining it's down there doing something, but I want to know if it comes off the bottom, and I'm like, oh my god, what's it doing? What's it doing? That's why I like a chatterbait, and I've talked about those spinner baits, and even like I've had a couple rods. If you get a sensitive enough rod, like the NRX's or the Tatula with that solid tip was like that. You can throw a soft plastic with flappy tails like these spicy beavers. You can feel that tail. If like it's calm day, there's no wind, the boat's not moving. You can feel them flappers flapping. Like a swim bait, like you want to get that nutty. Now that's probably going a little too far to needing to feel exactly what a bait's doing. But anyway, that's it. Anything else if I could only have one? I think I covered everything. Rod, reel, line, baits, soft plastics. Yeah, that's it, guys. That's a wrap. Oh, if I could only have one knob, it'd probably still be this guy in various colors. Oh, did you guys even see this? I don't even know if they've been in frame. And then I'm going to get out of here. So if you guys remember right, I did the unboxing and I had these huge knobs. And you guys are probably thinking, dude, Charlie's a moron. What has he bought? So I haven't cut these down yet. And I'm going to try these maybe just the way they are. Maybe cut them down a little bit. So I broke out. I did not like the lines. These had these little like 3 rib lines cut. And these were a little sharper than they needed to be. So I broke out the Dremel. And I smoothed these down. Just kind of give them that custom look. And yeah, I know. I left a little bit of a rough sanding deal. Just so they definitely had that custom. They look good. I like those. These, I had to go small. I didn't pay attention to how flat this part was. So you see how much sticks out here? These did not come with that much from the get-go. They started out thin and then they got real huge. So to get it down and get it even, they ended up being smaller, which is okay. And they still feel good. They have about the same feel, but they definitely feel smaller. So although they came out good, I don't know if I'm going to mess with that size anymore because I was going to put these, and I still may see what I think of them, put those on the, on any rod that I'm going to put on the carbon lights, but I don't want the blue with the blue line and all that. I just want to go more subtle with that gray and black. Goes right with the carbon lights. So the Steez Limited would be a good one. Maybe even the Lingle, not just to keep what gold's there, but not go crazy on with the other colors. So anyway, favorite style, even over these. But I do like the cork. Once I've shaped them up, I've got a couple of them like that. So basically just bring this down out here a little bit, just a little bit further. That is very comfortable. Right? All right. Get out, guys. Go buy some bonsai. Whatever you do, make sure you have fun doing it. I'm going to see what time it is. I may try to check with Noah, see if they're still racing RC cars. I'm going to go up to the RC track and watch them. I should stop by a thing of Fireball and come back and do a late night Fireball blowout sale, right? Or something like that. No. Anyway, got a few more videos to edit from over the weekend, last weekend, not fishing this weekend. And let's just make this a record. We're almost at an hour and a half. There's a few things on my mind I want to get. I want to get a perfect jerkbait rod. Still not sure. I'm even debating high dollar mega bass. the X Pride, what the tactical bassin. If you guys remember, he's recommended that one for years. 6'10" medium in the Shimano X Pride. Or Zodius, either one, and there's several other ones. There's even to the cheap Jordan Lee one up at Rogers has them in stock that says jerkbait right on it, just to try it, see if I may like it or not. But I need a good jerkbait rod. I want to get another reel or two, but I haven't decided which ones yet. Do I want the Steez A Hyper Long Cast? Do I just want another Steez Limited? Because there's one on eBay right now for under $500. That's not the shallow spool, but it's limited. But it's the same one as the shallow spool. So really not giving you guys much of a choice. Like, do I even need another Steez period? Because we already know they're awesome reels by the one I have, right? Don't need another zillion. Matt's supposed to be buying the one I got because I have two. The spare. The Bantam is still for sale. Probably going to get the new Calcutta Conquest after I sell this one and once it finally becomes available. I've been debating, and for those of you watching, jump on AliExpress right now and check out. There's only like a day left, but the cards, Jay, if you haven't bought them, Charles, if you haven't bought, have all the Cards of Lights. You have to track them down. They've got 2 or 3 on one store, and then they actually make a medium heavy, 6'8", I think. Those are fairly cheap. They're they're on sale right now, so like $65-$70 a piece. The Karza 2, 6'3" light, 6'6" medium, 6'8" medium heavy. I think I've been debating. I may buy those, and plan on probably using them for bottom bouncing. But I'm tempted to buy. If you guys want the Lure Star contest rods, like I have the purple ones, those are on sale right now on the store on there. Well, they're not really on sale, but their list, I found them. They're only $114 with like 28 shipping. Anyway, if you click on all 4, you get the Feeling, which is 6'8" light, 6'8" medium light, which is the quick, the Sharp, which is 6'8" medium, and then a 7'3" medium heavy, which is called Powerful. You can get all 4 of those for $500 and roughly $50, tax, shipped, all that. So puts it at about 130 or 40, 130 maybe. I don't know. But in my opinion, those real rods are still worth that money. Now, if you remember right, I have struggling with having hookup. I kept cussing them anyway, and I think that was honestly just me, because every time I let a girl fish with them, they didn't miss fish. It's insane. So I've been contemplating ordering that whole lineup again, because Matt made buy one I have here, and I never bought the 7'3". I've been debating about buying all those, just leaving the handles alone, balancing them on the end like I did with these carbon lights, and then focusing on using all those for bottom bouncing. And that's what I might do with the Karza 2s if I go that way, or with and I got like a day to figure out if I want to do that or not. But, stick with my moving baits with my Carbon Light 2.0s. That's just what these rods seem to like. And then get either the Karza 2s, I'm not getting both, or the contest rods. I guess I could technically get 1 or 2 out of each one, but I kind of want to go all one way or the other if I do that. But then using them more for like bottom bouncing, or maybe use those if I want to try fluorocarbon line, where I take a little bit of the extra yank out of fishing with the stouter rod with braid. But I'd probably be better off to just get them for bottom bouncing type stuff, and then still use my braid. And what else? That's it, I think. Yeah, if I have more, I'll make another video sometime. Thanks for watching, guys. Get out, go bass and bonsai, but whatever you do, you better dang sure make sure you have fun doing it. I'm gone.